guys? Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Natty Boss, registered dietitian, fitness coach, and lifestyle coach of bodybyboss.com. Today we are wrapping up our 3-part series for fat loss with my friend Jim and I, and we are going to talk about carb cycling.
I don't know, Natalie. This might be my favorite thing, like literally of all time. So I'm really glad that we're ending on this note.
Oh, this is exciting. This is awesome because I'm such a fan of carb cycling, so I hear your take on it and how it's helped you. I get carb cycling questions all the time, and I'm so curious to hear your point on it. So why don't we just dive right into it, and why don't you start there?
Carb cycling is pretty much my go-to strategy when I'm getting ready for a show. I compete as a natural bodybuilder. I've done so for many, many years now. You have high carb. I mean, I'm not sure. Maybe we set it up the same way. I'm not sure. We do a lot of things the same, and we learned that the first 2 videos, so we'll have to see. But high carbs, medium carbs, low carbs, and then you kind of keep your protein and your fat the same on the high, medium, and low days. Is that how you structure yours?
I actually structure mine a little different. I don't necessarily, sometimes for my clients, I add a medium day in there. But for me, I like the drastic change. So I usually stick to the low and the high because I really find that I really feel the difference in my body. So I like to really just shock it that way. So I like to tend to do more lower carb, and then I go right into a high carb day. However, when it comes to protein, I do keep protein the same across the board because that is essential for maintaining muscle while you're trying to lose fat, is keeping that protein intake up. But what I found was decreasing the fat on days where I have higher carb helps to kind of keep my body in that fat burning mode, because when carbs and fat are together in the body, they're both anabolic as far as they tend to promote fat storing, right? So fat's going to promote fat storing in the body. Excess carbs in the body turn to fat in the body. So their natural inclination is to store fat when there's too much of it. So sometimes when you have fat and carbs both high, it might hinder your fat loss progress, but that's not the case for every single person. Again, that's why like customized one-to-one training and nutrition is like super important, because you have to take into account just genetics, body types, and how people respond, because some people might be able to lose fat while increasing them. But I found for me personally, on days where I'm higher carb, I need to be lower fat. And then when I do low carb, I'm high fat, and my protein stays the same.
I think there's a lot of wisdom in what you just said. I really do. And, you know, it's interesting because you're right. Like if you're higher carb and higher fat, because remember, fat is 9 calories per gram. So you run the risk of easily spilling into a really high excess of calories. And then all of a sudden your body doesn't know what to do with all those nutrients, and it has to start storing fat. And so I try to keep my fat pretty constant across all 3 days, but I just know that, I mean, it's a mental thing, right? Like when I'm on like a high carb day, like I'm so excited about eating. I know a lot of times I will end up having, I don't usually go like crazy, but I will end up having a little extra fat. And so I have to kind of work that down on the other days. And so I kind of naturally fall into a situation where, because I have those medium days, where medium days are kind of like middle road across the board, but the higher days are really high carb, a little bit higher fat. The low carb days are really low carb and a little bit lower fat. So it all kind of balances out.
It's about switching the energy systems, right? We're going from the keto to the burning of the glucose. So I feel that it works best when, if I'm solely going to burn the glucose, I have to make sure the glucose is the main thing in my system. And again, I feel when people generally try to combine they don't take into account necessarily the fat, then the fat and the carbs, it's very easy to eat carbs and fat together, right? Like French fries. You know what I mean?
or pizza, right? Yeah.
Pizza, you know what I mean? But it's very hard when you have to focus on high carb with low fat. And then all of a sudden you're like, what do I eat? But then that's when the fat loss, I think, really thrives, because you focus on whole foods and you focus on just natural carb sources. So it's lots of sweet potato, it's fruit, you know, it's things that have natural sugar, but there's just no fat involved. So and you kind of reap the benefits of just getting that whole food and those vitamins and minerals, because you end up Like, there is no other option for you to eat. You can't eat a bag of chips because it has too much fat. You know what I mean?
That's exactly right. And you left out my favorite food of all time, which is oatmeal. And so oatmeal is kind of the same thing, right? Yeah. That's so true. I mean, it's so easy to eat high carb and high fat. It's so easy for all the reasons you said. When you're trying to eat high carb and keep your fat, modest, that actually takes some work. And you're exactly right.
When people start to stall, a lot of the times it's my athletes with this mindset that they know low carb will make them lose weight. But when they're dieting for weeks and months out of the year for tournament after tournament after tournament, they don't realize they need those carbs to reset, to replenish, aid in recovery. I feel that that's a big issue in my community. And how's that with yours?
I think there's a lot of overlap, actually, maybe more than you remember or realize. I think that the carb phobia is very real. And I mean, I work with athletes, and I also work with general population people. And within the general population circles, it's very, very rampant, where people just feel like, oh my gosh, I can't have any carbs, because if I do, I'm just going to ruin all the progress I'm trying to make. And I love what you said about needing that high carb day, to kind of replenish your glycogen stores, kind of get your hormones back to where they should be. I think if somebody's watching and they're interested in this and starting out for the first time, I think when you are a little bit lower carb, bumping up those fats a little bit to replace some of that energy, I think that's a really, really smart move. And start doing that as kind of your baseline carb cycling.
When I know that I have to start carb cycling, which is usually cutting for a tournament, I usually generally start with just cycling out my carbs, usually at maintenance calories, but that's only for like about a week. And then after a week, I'll cut by calories with how I like to structure it, with the lower carb, high fat, low carb. Only when I get to the very, basically a week or two out of my competition, and if it's something, if I didn't already make the weight, that's when I usually do the low carb, low fat. Decreasing that fat helps my body, me specifically, really dip into fat stores. And I find that, but I can't do it that far out because, like you say, it's way too much on your mental game. So it really has to be strategic. And I feel that it works best for me when I can do it maybe like a week or 2 weeks max out to the competition date, because that's about as much as my brain can handle low fat and low carb.
I'm just curious like when you're getting really close to a competition and you're weighing yourself every day, which I weigh myself every day too. And so when you're carb cycling, did you find it to become very predictable in that after your low days, your body weight would almost always dip the following morning?
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to bring that up because, again, for people out there that this might be brand new to them, that is a very, very, very powerful thing. When, a lot of times when people are dieting or trying to lose fat or whatever, one of the biggest sources of frustration is people wondering if what they're doing is going to work.
Yeah.
And the thing about carb cycling is once you get your maintenance calories kind of figured out, which takes some time, but then you set up your carb cycle, your body starts to become so efficient at turning over that glycogen, and just you start to get into these predictable patterns. And again, that's very, very powerful from a mental standpoint.
If you really want to dial in on specific fat loss, I am a huge fan of actually calculating the macros.
So for the average person, I love Monday through Friday, you're in a routine, and then you kind of relax a little bit on the weekend, and that becomes your carb cycling. Yeah. But the second thing is, and I totally agree with you, I think every single person would benefit from tracking their macros for at least 1 or 2 months. You will learn so much about nutrition. If you don't want to do it for the rest of your life, I understand that. But take a month or 2 and do it, and you will learn so much that your eyes will really be open.
Yes, I love that. If you liked this series that we did and you'd like to see more from Jim and Nat, then let us know in the comment section below. Again, if you have any questions specifically about carb cycling, let me know in the comment section below. I'll put all of his information where you can find Jim and his channel, F Cubed Faith, Fitness, and Finance. So you can go check him out. He's awesome. Thanks for being on my channel and for sharing your knowledge in your industry. Thanks, guys, for taking the time to watch these a little bit longer than usual videos, but super knowledgeable. I hope you gained some knowledge from these. and I had a great time making it. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we will catch you later.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. See you guys next time.